There's three people on it who I know, like personally know. So there's Tucker Carlson, Cenk Uygur, and Anna Kasparian. The idea that any of them are Jew haters is just ridiculous. That is just like you could only
Strap in, because this video isn't some polite disagreement about foreign policy. This is an all-out rhetorical fight featuring Dave Smith, Anna Kasparian, and Cenk Uygur tearing into what they call a political weaponized fraud list. The top anti-Semites of the year, compiled by StopAntisemitism.com. And the punchline? These alleged anti-Semites aren't neo-Nazis or Holocaust deniers. They're public critics of Israel's government policies. The hosts aren't whining about being mislabeled. They're celebrating it. The title says it all. We made the anti-Semites list. This is an honor. Israel lobby in meltdown. And honestly, from the way they frame it, they're winning this clash. The list is supposed to smear them, but instead, they treat it like a badge of courage handed out by a paranoid establishment desperate to silence dissent. Now, let's find the real truth.
I don't know, in the same way that Larry Ellison was the blackface of white supremacy or something like that. Like, only by the wokest definition of bigotry could you accuse any of those three. I've never said anything about the Jews. They're just, their criticism was about Israel, the Israel lobby, and wars of aggression. And then they actually put Miss Rachel on there.
Dave Smith sets the tone by pointing out how hilariously misapplied the term anti-Semite has become. He lists people like Tucker Carlson and Anna Kasparian, who have never attacked Jews, but they have dared criticize Israel, its lobby, and U.S. wars connected to it. Criticism of a nation state does not equal hatred of an ethnicity, but apparently that distinction has been internationally incinerated. The entire house of cards collapses. The accusation doesn't match the evidence, and that's where the hypocrisy has begun.
The they that comedian Dave Smith is referring to is, I think it's one person behind the StopAntisemitism.com account on X. Although this individual is funded very generously. And we're going to get to who the person is behind the account and who's funding them. But before we do, let's talk a little bit about what Stop Anti-Semitism is up to. They're not at all interested in doing anything about anti-Semitism. They are interested in destroying the lives and smearing individuals who are specifically critical of the foreign nation state of Israel, which is currently devastating multiple countries in the Middle East in an effort to carry out what's referred to as the Greater Israel Project. Not only do they, happily slaughter children with absolutely no remorse, they're pretty blunt about what their intentions are. The IDF's own internal data indicates that upward of 83% of the individuals that they have slaughtered in Gaza happen to be civilians. That's not random reporting. That is the IDF's own internal documents. Now, with that in mind, StopAntisemitism.com wants to provide cover for what Israel is doing, and they're going after people like us, Cenk. Every year, they allow people to vote on who the top anti-Semite of the year should be, and in the running, we have the 10 individuals I'm about to list. So you have Tucker Carlson, Miss Rachel, and then you have actress Marsha Cross. I don't even know what she's said about Israel, to be honest with you. You and I are on the list, but Rashida Tlaib won Anti-Semite of the Year in 2023. Candace Owens won last year, but there are notably some people missing from this list. People who are just straight out saying they are anti-Semites. So we'll get to that in just a minute. But what are your 2 cents?
Yeah, so to me, this rando who puts together this BS list is not the issue. The issue is that the rest of national media takes it seriously, like Jake Tapper. Like, oh, this is very important. Who are all the terrible, terrible anti-Semites who've never said anything against Jewish people but have dared to criticize Israel? How dare they? Okay, so that's the real issue here. This is the honor of a lifetime to be on this list, and I'm going to explain why in a minute.
So obviously people are pointing to the absurdity of including Miss Rachel on the list. I mean, literally the only thing that she's doing is filming videos that humanize Palestinian children who have lost their limbs as a result of the military violence carried out by the IDF in Gaza. But, that's drawing attention to what the IDF is all about. And that doesn't make Israel look so good. So they're trying to destroy her reputation. It's not working. But notably, there are several people missing from the list. And that includes actual anti-Semites like Elias Rodriguez. If you're unfamiliar with him, it's probably because you either don't know about or forgot about the fact that he's the guy who shot and killed 2 Israeli embassy staff members in Washington, D.C. back in May. Not on the list. Not on the list. Apparently, killing people who are Jewish because you're a disgusting anti-Semite doesn't make you qualified for this list.
Anna then unloads on stopantisemitism.com, blasting it as a smear machine funded by wealthy pro-Israel mega donors, not some grassroots activists against Jew haters. The group obsession isn't defending bigotry. It's defending criticism of Israel, no matter how justified it sounds. This is where the double standard goes nuclear. Actual Anti-Semites, people who literally killed Israeli or Israel embassy staff, not on the list. Nick Fuentes, a guy begging to be recognized for his anti-Jew rhetoric, not on the list. Miss Rachel, a children's content creator who emphasizes with Palestinian amputees, on the list. This political labeling is not morally accountable. It's a shield for a foreign government, not a defense of Jewish people. The absurdity becomes undeniable. Actual violence gets ignored. Criticism gets criticized. Such a mess.
There's more. I'm sure you noticed Nick Fuentes isn't on the list, and that even befuddled him. He's like, why aren't I on this list? Also missing is Nick Fuentes. So stopantisemitism.com responded to that criticism, and their response was, in a word, hilarious. So let's go to that. For those questioning why Nick Fuentes wasn't on this year's list, we have been monitoring Nick Fuentes' anti-Semitism since 2019. While he was a finalist a few years back, his absence from this year's cycle does not erase his anti-Semitism. Rather, it allows us to focus attention on other individuals who are spreading hate. We do not recycle candidates from year to year. Why not? It's obvious that they are targeting people who are specifically critical of a foreign country that this psychopath woman whose face looks like a sphincter doesn't like, So we're going to get to that in just a minute. In fact, no, why don't we get to that right now? So there has been some deep dives into stopantisemitism.com. One of the defamation suits that they have faced had to do with the fact that they literally defamed a young hockey player at a school who, did something bad. He vandalized and did graffiti. But Stop Anti-Semitism wanted to take it a step further and claim that he was doing graffiti of swastikas, which wasn't true. In fact, rabbis at the school came out and defended this individual who we don't know the identity of. This person is a minor, but they also allowed him to apologize for the graffiti at the school during Shabbat, knowing that people weren't going to have their phones on them and they couldn't record it and then out him and destroy his life. My point is, antisemitism.com defamed him, claimed that he spray painted swastikas. That was not the case. In fact, rabbis came to his defense and debunked that. The student then filed a defamation lawsuit, and it's impossible to sue the woman who's behind this account because she uses fake building addresses and things like that to evade defamation lawsuits. So it's impossible to serve her. So who is she? Let's go to the next graphic. Loira Rez of Stop Anti-Semitism, failed fashion blogger in the business of creating consequences while desperate to avoid them herself. Last year, she used fake addresses in empty buildings to try to avoid a defamation suit. So the defamation suit that they're referring to is what I just outlined for you all. Sheldon Adelson worked alongside a convicted felon.
Next, they exposed the machinery behind the list. Adam Millstone, Sheldon Alderstein, and pro-Israel influence network pumping cash into campaigns to destroy public critics. The project doesn't just defend Israel, it fears democracy, fears dissent, and wants total submission. This isn't accidental. It's strategic narrative control designed to equate. Anti-genocide equals anti-Semitic. Pro-Israel policy equals morally righteous. That's not a debate. That is a cult test. This is their mission statement.
He was convicted of felony tax evasion. His name is Adam Milstein. Adelson worked with him to basically build this network of 180 organizations like StopAntisemitism.com. And the point is not to stop anti-Semitism. The point is to smear anyone who dare be critical of Israel. In fact, here's a taste of who Adam Milstein is and the type of smear campaigns he deploys.
Milstein told Tony how critics of Israel should be handled.
First of all, investigate who they are. What's their agenda? They're picking on the Jews because it's amazing, because it's popular. We need to expose what they really are. We need to expose the fact that they're acting everything we believe in. And we need to put them on the run. Right now, they can do whatever they like, terrorize us, and we are. How do we put them on the run, though? Doing it by exposing who they are, what they are, the fact that they're racist, the fact that they're bigot, that they're dying in democracy.
Do you think there's a good role to just naming them as anti-Semites?
Not just anti-Semites, it's too simple. We need to present them for what they really are. They are freedom, they're anti-Christian, they're anti-democracy. That's what we need to know.
So he's referring to individuals who are part of the boycott and divest movement. He's basically just saying we just need to smear them as racist and individuals who are anti-democracy and anti-Christianity. And by the way, that propaganda campaign is currently being deployed at various Christian Zionist churches across the country. In addition to that, Stop Anti-Semitism, run by Rez, is a well-paid cog in Milstein's machine, funded by his Morona Leadership Foundation. Rez pocketed over $237,000 just in 2021 to 2022, making her the top earner at the so-called charity. And you're seeing, the advertisement for some sort of event that was held on October 31st at the Yale Club NYC. Michael Rappaport is part of it. So is Douglas Murray, who, by the way, got caught getting paid to write speeches on behalf of Netanyahu in Israel. But he apparently has been there. And Moira Rez, by the way, the very woman who runs this account to smear people, not only asked the DOJ to investigate Miss Rachel, okay, that was reported by The Guardian. She's also a disgusting racist herself and used an N-word slur, a variation of the N-word, to respond to a post by Representative Ilhan Omar. So a deeply disgusting racist is going around smearing other individuals who are critical of a foreign country of being anti-Semites. Cenk, back to you.
Okay, so if it's just a rando and she's not getting paid tons of money by Sheldon Adelson and she's not being featured on CNN, then who cares, right? But Jake Tapper has had her on CNN on multiple occasions. Oh, please tell us who Israel's enemies are so we could ruin their careers. I mean, who the anti-Semites are, right? And so Sheldon Adelson, who is he? And who's on the side of democracy and Christianity and the West and all these things? Notice in that secret reporting, the person supporting Israel is talking about, now don't let them find out that it's about us. We're gonna basically pretend this is to help Christians and the West and democracy. So who does Sheldon Adelson actually help? Well, he was a casino magnate. By the way, he made most of his money in China. Most of his casinos are in Macau. Only a couple are in Vegas. He makes a lot more money in China. Donald Trump helped him to bring back all of his money from China at a much reduced, instead of 35%, he brought it back at 8%. And he did Sheldon Adelson a great number of favors. One of the favors that he did for him was that he let Jonathan Pollard, one of the worst traitors in American history, fly back to Israel to give Adelson a favor. Now, Adelson then flew Jonathan Pollard out in his private jet back to Israel. Like, attaboy, way to betray America. The Adelsons are super proud of you, okay?
Yep.
And then he's now passed away, and his wife has picked up the helm, Miriam Adelson. She also gave Trump $137 million in this campaign. Collectively, the Adelson family has given him over $300 million. That's almost never talked about in traditional media. Instead, it's all covered up, because if you tell people who actually work for Israel, oh my God, that's anti-Semitic. No, it's not. Like, there are Turks who would want the American government to cheat on behalf of Turkey, and there are Turks who wouldn't. And if you find some Turk who's bribing Eric Adams, the correct answer is not, you're anti-Turkist. The correct answer is, that guy's doing a bribe. We should arrest him and actually follow the law and care about this country and not other countries. But apparently, the Jake Tappers of the world are completely incapable of that. No, beloved Israel above all, let's bring on a smear merchant paid for by a guy who loved the spy who betrayed America. And let's never talk about the fact that they bought Donald Trump at over $300 million. That would be anti-Semitic, because facts have a well-known history of being anti-Semites. No, that's not anti-Semitic. My friends I have dozens of friends who are Jewish. Oh, you can't have Jewish friends, you're lying, blah, 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 whatever it is. None of them did it. Nobody talked to Sheldon Adelson, nobody talked to Mossad. Random Jewish Americans had nothing to do with this, nothing. It's despicable. Basically, pro-Israel radicals like Miriam Adelson, a lot of people in media, obviously this lady, you say her face looks like a sphincter, I see it. She should stop antisphincterism.com. Okay, but now I want to go back to who's on the list, right? These terrible anti-Semites. So Tucker Carlson's on the list because he talked to Nick Fuentes, but Nick Fuentes is not on the list. Now, if you're wondering why are they doing? Why not put the killer who actually killed Jews in America on a list of anti-Semites? That's the most logical thing in the world. Because this isn't about anti-Semitism. Those anti-Semites, even including the killer, in the minds of pro-Israel radicals like this lunatic, they help Israel. Because they rile up people and they go, oh, do you see this? Go look at all this anti-Semitism. We have to give Israel another $300 billion. We owe them. Look at what Nick Fuentes is doing. He's driving up anti-Semitism. Yes, yes. They're so excited about it. That's why they almost never touch Fuentes. They only touch the people he talks to and the people that they talk to and the people that they talk to, because they're trying to eliminate critics of Israel, not of Jewish people. So that's why the real anti-Semites don't go on this list. Only the people who are fighting super aggressively against the genocide go on this list. That's why it's the honor of a lifetime. This is like being on Nixon's enemies list.
Sink takes it home with Molotov-level bluntness. This list isn't protecting Jewish people, it endangers them. By insisting that criticizing Israel equates hating Jews, it creates real anti-Semitism where none existed, while handling moral immorality to a government actively bombing citizens. Then he says the quiet part out loud. Being on this list is like being on Nixon's enemy list. You're only targeted because you pose a threat to power. This isn't a shame, it's a validation. The meaning of the list has flipped. It no longer marks villains, it marks dissidents.
This is like being honestly, on the Nazis' enemies list. Oh, you're trying to stop a Holocaust. You're anti-Germanist. You see, you're such a German hater. Yeah, okay, call me a German hater. Call me an Israel hater. Call me any kind of hater you like. It's not gonna stop me from trying to stop Israel from this ceaseless genocide. It's still going on. They killed 350 people since the so-called ceasefire. They bombed Damascus, they bombed Beirut recently, let alone the fact that they did that over and over again before. They bombed Tehran earlier, obviously. And so, no, you can call us all the dirty names you want. And by the way, two can play that game, so I'll add this here at the end. People like this woman, I don't even want to know her name, but Lyra Raz, Miriam Adelson, Adam Milstein, and yeah, I'll throw in Jake Tapper because He's their biggest cheerleader, apparently. He thinks this kind of bigotry is awesome. Are bigots. They're the most anti-Muslim bigots I've ever seen. They're worse anti-Muslim bigots than any anti-Semite in the country. They're constantly trying to drive up hatred towards Muslims in America. You should hate the Muslims. The Muslims are terrorists. The Muslims are savages. Israel had to kill the Muslims and take their land. They had to take their land for self-defense. Why did they have to take the land? Jake, 53% of Gaza is now occupied by your beloved Israel. So they stole that land. Oh, you can't say that, that's anti-Semitic. No. You're not allowed to criticize Israel in any way. No, that doesn't have anything to do with Jews. What are you talking about? Just because you call yourself a Jewish state doesn't mean that you get to do whatever you want. I have a magic community idol. I called it a Jewish state, so you're not allowed to criticize it. Otherwise, I ruin your career. And that is the point of this list, is so that Jake Tapper can go on air and go, now remember everybody, all of these people that are on this list should never be allowed in media, should never be allowed to criticize Israel, should never be allowed to do anything ever in America. They have been banned as anti-Semites of the year. So remember, everybody who's pro-genocide is a good guy. Everyone who's anti-genocide is a stupid, dirty Muslim, a Muslim lover. But you see how concerned I am about bigotry.
I just want to send a message to Loira Rez. All right. I would rather get down on my knees and scrub toilets for a living than be silenced by a disgusting, hideous, sad excuse for a human being that you happen to be. I'm not afraid of you. I don't care if every single place I'm employed by fires me. If that means that I get to speak the truth about what Israel is actually up to, I'm gonna keep doing it. And I'm gonna suffer the consequences. Because to me, money is nothing when it comes to censorship. I would rather trade the money for being able to speak the truth. So I'm not afraid of you. And besides which, everyone thinks you're a joke anyway.
Yeah.
So congratulations. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I'm gonna say one last thing here, guys. So for the Loira Rezes of the world, I double down on what Anna said. There's nothing that's gonna get me to kneel to Israel. I know, if you don't bow your head to Israel, they wanna destroy your life, right? And so again, guys, please, I have Jewish family, don't take it out on random Jews. It's these particular radicals that are doing it. In fact, that goes to my last point, which is Loira Rez, Netanyahu, Ben Gvir, Smotrich, Netanyahu, Sheldon Adelson, Miriam Adelson, and yes, the people in traditional media who aid and abet them, drive up anti-Semitism more than anything else I have ever seen. They're like, okay, now remember, if anyone dares to criticize a genocide, we destroy their lives and let them know we're doing it. No, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're gonna get my Jewish family and friends into trouble with this maniacal actions of being pro-genocide and demanding that everyone know and bow down. If you're not pro-genocide, you're against Jews. No, don't say that. Don't say that. You're doing untold damage. But no, for them, forget Jews, forget Americans, forget everyone. They're so obsessed with Israel that they'll try to destroy everything in their path to help the country that they actually love.
Closing thoughts. The host won. StopAntisemitism.com looks less like a watchdog and more like a political hit squad wrapped in a language of victimhood. When you weaponize the worst tragedy in Jewish history to shield a government committing brutality, you're not fighting anti-Semitism, you're manufacturing it. And that's the irony. The people screaming the loudest about hate are the ones turning the word anti-Semite into a punchline. This segment exposes the brutal truth. If criticizing state violence earns you a place on their list, then the list isn't a warning. It's a scoreboard. And right now, they're losing badly. Thank you for watching and listening to our video. Please like and subscribe to our channel. We'll talk with you the next time we need to find out and uncover the real truth.